Welcome, race fans, back to Deviant Racing for the penultimate round in season 4.3. My name is Webbo, here to join you for today's racing action. As always, very glad to be here as well. And we are at the phenomenal Mount Panorama in Western Australia. For the Western New South Wales, it is to the west of Sydney in the mountainous region of the Blue Mountains. And we're ready for today's qualifying session, which will be underway very, very shortly. This is how our season has shaped up so far. A fantastic looking left of the screen here. A fantastic looking grid of drivers. Vic is on top though with 3 wins out of the first 5 races. Remember, only the top 6 scores count. So he is perilously close to securing another title here at for the GTDPRO, or the top tier of GT World Challenge races here at Deviant Racing League. Junkai and Captain Eli are mathematically within a shout, but definitely locked in a battle with each other, although I do believe Captain Eli, or as you may have seen him on here, Captain Badonkadonk, may well have in fact lost, not been able to participate today, and our warmest wishes go out to him because he is the driver who has taken the other 2 wins of the first 5 of the championship. Hi to Larry, who joins us live as well. Anybody else who's watching us live, do take part in today's broadcast as much as you possibly can. Zen is in 4th position and has 51 points total. Ahead of Chaotica and Comma Copa. Super close in the battle for the podium of the championship overall, of course. Preston in 7th and Fascia in 8th. We've got Bongit 9th, Izzy 10th, and TX Speedstars in 11th position. Just one above the relegation line. I don't know how seriously we're taking relegation. Last season it was it didn't really work out to be relegation promotion battle, but we shall see how things look in 2026. Glovas and Shalsdaddy look to be the drivers on the bubble, though, at the bottom of the GTDPRO Championship. In terms of the team standings, there you have it, bottom of the screen. With the drop scores taken into account, Team Distinguished are well ahead of cross-border competition, but it is still very much possible for them to be overhauled in the battle for top manufacturer. Cross-border competition on 159 plays Team Distinguished 193, and then we go down through Drive-Through Racing, Team OG, Michelin Speedstars, Rookie Rebels, and Team Mountain Dew at the bottom of the standings. Much to many drivers, pundits' surprise, I think, to be honest, to find our tremendously traditional drivers and team combination of Team Mountain Dew out there, unfortunately, in the trailing position in the championship. Well, I'm on track. Let's have a look. We've got Zen, who's out first, and he's already through the first corner, called Hell Corner, here at Mount Panorama. They've been racing here since 1938, when the circuit was inaugurated. At this tremendously difficult mountainous region. We climb the hill, we crest the hill, we dip down again. This is the turn 2, Griffin's Bend, heading up towards turn 3 and then turn 4, the cutting. And you very much do need to cut across the gradient of the corner, but not touch the inside barrier before heading through Quarry. Passing Reed Park on your right before going through Frog Hollow. This is the little dip down between the 2 left-handers, Frog Hollow. We're passing now Sulman Park and into McPhillamy Park through turn 10. You can see the sunset as we head towards Skyline, which is so named. We head skywards with our POV and then down through the gears in towards the S's and the Dipper. And we continually head downhill. There's a little section where you actually press the throttle, but it's not a lot of throttle coming downhill before going into Forest Elbow, and you really need to maximize the run out of Forest Elbow, because now you have the Conrod Straight heading direct due north. Keep an eye out for a possible sighting of a kangaroo on your right hand side here at some point during the race. Over this barrier we will hopefully see a kangaroo before heading through the chase and down towards the chase. Biggest stop on the on the circuit. We get very sideways, unfortunately, with Zen. Let's see if Glovas can take it any more smoothly. He can indeed. That's Zen exiting stage left, and we go under the Armor All tyre barrier, which is now ubiquitous on all world racing circuits, and heading into the final corner, Murray's, before heading under the Super Cheap Auto banner and back to start, and another flying lap. That's a 2:04 for Glovas, and he sits at the head of the field at the moment. Let's see what Speedstars can do. TX goes second position. Next up will be Bongit, and he goes second to Glovas. Glovas leading by just 0.3 of a second overall from this run. Several drivers slotting in. Komakopa's gone third place. This is Vic, with one hand certainly approaching the trophy here at the end of this season 4.3, and crossing the line. Vic, though, 12th position, may just be warming the car up and getting ready for an outright race. So Don't Need Time goes first. Don't Need Time can be back to us here after a few races absent, and straight into provisional pole position. Here he is on board, and he's managed to get himself up into P1, just 16 thousandths ahead of Glovas, with Bongard in third and Komakopa in fourth. This is just provisional. Of course, they will have maybe 3, maybe even possibly 4 flying laps to go in this 10-minute session. No generous overage like we had at the Nordschleife last time out. And hi to Jim as well, who's screamed straight into P1 in the chat leaderboard today as well. Don't forget, super chat and thanks buttons are open today. Always appreciate anything that you like to give, and I'd really love it if you would give me the opportunity to pause any adverts today in the final 10 minutes of the race. I do have that ability, I just don't necessarily have the brain power to remember to do it. This is Don't Need Time, heading into that phenomenal Forest Elbow with the Falcon signage in the blue section. You know where you are on the track as a result. As Larry's saying that Gus got to meet one of his heroes today, Komakopa. Sounds good. Kuroskai saying you're not supposed to meet your heroes. Here is Glovas, though. He's got into provisional pole, but Don't Need Time is on track here to beat his own previous time, but he's going to need to absolutely smash this final sector, because Glovas has screeched into a very strong provisional pole. Bongit goes ahead of Don't Need Time at this stage, and we've just got one more corner, Murray's corner, to go. We perhaps get a little bit too much of that apex curb on board with Don't Need Time, but what has he been able to do here as the sun starts to rise in his rear view mirror, and he goes second, with Vic now stealing a march into first position, and may have been getting a little bit of a help there down the chase following Fassiar. I saw him heading into Hell Corner, the turn 1, directly behind Fassiar. And I think that might be the plan here for Team Distinguished in the Lamborghinis. Very different engine note here as they help each other up the hill up towards the Griffin's Bend of turn 2. You can brake incredibly late, and we'll see exactly what Fassiar is up to here as we head down into the cutting. Then on the left, he's 0.2 of a second tops ahead of Glovas. Glovas has gone into the pits, and with a +2 minute lap, he's going to have to get back out again very quickly if he wants any hope of getting his lap in here. Cutting across the left-hander there of Frog Hollow, and passing Sulman Park on the right through into turn 10. That is, the racing line goes left then right, and I'm sure we will see drivers getting in worse positions there than Vic, but that's clearly rubbish this lap for him, unless the plan is here to run down the Conrod straight and try and help our teammate forward with a little bump and run. But I don't think that is on. The draft is not strong enough for him to catch here, so that doesn't appear to be on for him. We've got a fantastic run though from Glovas in P2. Has had a bit of a nothing season to this point. This is only an outlap for him though. He's going to hope to get around and started his final flying lap. This is Don't Need Time on board with him, as the soft tyres are starting to give up here on the front left, front right also, perhaps even worse, the front right, as he runs then out of Murray's corner. Can we get ourselves up back onto the provisional front row of the grid? No, indeed we cannot. 1.5 tenths of a second away, and I think he's decided he cannot keep running. This is Glovas on the outlap, so this is not a competitive time, as Bongit has gone back into the pits as well, because there's nothing doing with Zen directly in front of him. Fassiar in 5th now, as he heads uphill towards Griffin's Bend, turn 2. This is the last of the late breakers here, all the way up to the 50-meter board before starting to slow the car on the way in. You can see how the scale of the mountain rock face on the left-hand side there as you approach the cutting. You need to really get into that nice hollow in the rear of the car, stepping out on Fassiar, the Lamborghini, complaining here at the treatment that Fassiar is giving him over the curbs. Try and get the flow going through these left-handers. It's all about positioning. Big lift going through, passing Solomon Park and into McPhillamy Park turn 10 before we head down in towards Skyline now. Don't get distracted by the beautiful sunrise across on the horizon, and down into the left-hander of the Dipper. Powering out next up, and he's not happy with the lap, so I think our drivers have decided that is all that she wrote. We are 39 seconds only into this lap. We are past the 10-minute mark. It's all a question really of whether Glovas has left it too late to move himself forwards, as it's Vic ahead of Glovas, ahead of Don't Need Time, Bongit, Fassiar, Junkai, Zen and Chaotica, the current standings. I'll just see if anybody else is out there on track. Izzy, TX are on track, but it's all about really what can Glovas do here under the Audi R8 banner and down into the S's. Get into that Dipper corner and try and keep the momentum, because you don't want to put the power on when the car is twisting and turning along the line of its chassis. Down through Forest Elbow, and it's all about the right foot throttle on now as we head down Conrod Straight. And let's see if we can get an update on our lap. And he's fingers crossed here at the moment. Can he make it to the end before the timer knocks out? He's below his over his time already, unfortunately, by over a quarter of a second. And there's a lot of time to gain in this final sector if he can do it. Looks like he's going to be finishing slower than even he has managed before on brand new soft tyres with the lowest amount of fuel he's got just yet. Really, you need to avoid that inside curb. It really, there's no way of using it productively as he powers out of the final corner. It's not a quicker time. It's gonna be Vic, who is the fastest driver today on qualifying trim. Glovas got that final lap in the Mercedes AMG, but unfortunately it was not to be. Check out the surface paint texture on the concrete barrier there on our right hand side. Tremendous run then from Glovas as we queue up and wait then. Got to add some ballast to Vic's car, says Kuros Kai. I think Saito it is who's going to be driving our safety car, but Vic securing the pole position there, a 203.952 ahead of Glovas. Don't Need Time and Bongit with Fassiar and Zen in 5th and 6th back on that 3rd row. A 4th row start for Junkai and Chaotica with Komakopa kind of surprisingly slow in P9 with Preston in P10. We've got a lot of very similar looking liveries today. A bit more about that later on during our safety car period. But TX and Izzy will share the back row of the grid. Saito will start in P13 and we'll have 10 active drivers and one safety car spotter for us and for the remainder of the race. Our Saito it will be in the hot seat today. Of course, Larry will be able to lend his local knowledge to this great racing circuit. Scene of what I've seen so far from everything I've seen so far. My favourite race of the year was the Bathurst 1000. And there's some great highlights packages out there if you're interested. Yeah, let's see what our own take on that Bathurst 1000 is going to be. The 1 hour of Bathurst coming up very, very soon for you. Safety car will be lap 16, says Chaotica. So a big big props to him for letting me know on that one. Just acknowledge that for him and make sure that he knows where we are. The race will be a 60-minute race, of course, and I'd love a reminder if you would, once we're into the final 10 minutes of the race, if you just let me know to pause the adverts, pause any ads that non-premium subscribers might be subject to today, and I will do my best to make sure that you don't miss anything crucial at the end of today's broadcast. We'll be going into, of course, the GTD race. I'll try and get that stream up as quickly as possible, so you've got somewhere to hang out if you're watching both races with us today. If not, as always, please, if you're watching this back post-race, please leave your favourite moment with a timestamp in the comments. It really helps with the channel growth, and I appreciate everybody's ongoing support here and pressing all the buttons. The hype one, I think, is probably the one to really focus on at the moment for brand new videos. There should be a hype button underneath, but a like and a sub would be very, very much appreciated. The driver's just getting ready, of course, for their race conditions. Just to remind you, they'll be running random weather. When it rains in Bathurst, it really, really rains. So they'll be praying that that doesn't happen for them. We will be going for a 4-hour elapse period over the hour of racing from sunrise. And again, you can check out any additional settings there if you want to replicate this race later on. But we're looking forward to this one, no doubt. A 2:03.9, only 0.2 of a second though for Vic, ahead of Glovas in the outright pace. He'll be hoping that his teammate can play a little bit of a helper with Fascia there in 5th place, because Vic tells me, and I've gone wrong before believing drivers about this, but Vic tells me that a 7th place is enough to secure the championship. I'm not going to confirm that today because we never know what happens post-race until champions are declared by admin. I won't go into it. The race then about to start for you here at Bathurst. So let's get ourselves organised. Let's get ready for the race. And I'd love to hear your predictions if you would be so kind. Let's get everything organised just the way we like it. Glovas and Vic will share the front row of the grid. The gold already painted on the pole sitter and champion-elect's car. Is that foreshadowing or is that hubris? We'll see. 5 lights on for the race. And it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go here at Mount Panorama as there's cars all over the shop with the difference in starting performance. It's a short run down into turn 1 and then it's going to be absolutely anybody's on the run through. Bongit, Junkai, Preston, all off on the grass on the way out, and that is very, very bad for our Canadian, our CBC team, as Glovas got the march there on Vic. I will try and replay the start for you momentarily, but Vic has dropped a position as the champion-elect. Is going to take this one fairly calmly and carefully, I would imagine. Don't need time in 3rd in the Lexus, powering up with the straight line speed of that Lexus RCF, managing to hold on at the moment. But we've got Zen chasing him down then in the Renault RS in P4. Comacopa in 5th, then Fascia, followed by Preston, Chaotica, Izzy, TX, and then come the Porsches, the Renault RS of Junkai and Bongit in P12. They look so similar with the red, white and blue, but they're in fact on different teams. It's Glovas ahead of Vic, ahead of Don't Need Time, as we go to the crest of the mountain and head over the top of Skyline and down in through the S's and down into the Dipper. There you can see the moon in the background as well as the drivers go through this Dipper and S's section. It's absolutely perilous. I think there will be more than one driver who are ending up pointing the wrong direction in the middle of the mountain, but heading out of Forest Elbow go our 2 leaders, and there's an absolute chasm of a whole second between P2 and P3 of Don't Need Time as we ride alongside here. Say, keep your eyes out for our kangaroo friend on the outside of the circuit down here throughout the course of the race. It might be a little bit early for the Roo as it's Zen then in 4th position, and it's Komakopa up from, I think it was P9 up to P5 at the on the first lap of the race. There goes Vassiar in P6. He was 5th earlier on the grid, so he'll be hoping to try and do a good job for his teammate. Looks like the Team Distinguished have gone for different liveries today, just keeping me busy, which is great, as Junkai, Bongit, Izzy, and then of course our safety car driver Saito comes through. Now Vic is starting to launch a challenge here, and as they approach that Griffin's Bend, we will see if we go for it in towards Griffin's Bend, if we've got the grunt and the horsepower climbing the mountain here with the aerodynamic shape of the Lamborghini, but it's not enough up the hill into Griffin's. There is Vassiar in P5 defending heavily, as we'll just take a quick look at the replay of the start here, and you can see drivers getting all over the place and unable then to just getting out on the grass there. Several drivers making a bit of a meal of that one, and we'll just head back to live footage then, back with the leaders, as we are clearly in the wow, Vic almost shaving the wall, as Don't Need Time absolutely shaves the wall going through. There's no shortage of hard work here for the hard tyre shot. Don't Need Time in the Lexus. There is a good sector from him, as well as Zen is impatient to get by here in the all-white Renault. Looks like maybe his livery didn't come through, but I did run a reset here on the liveries. Hard tyres for Vic puts him in a good position here, and it's going to be Zen, the most impatient of the top 4. He's the highest placed medium runner, but surely now Vic has a good run here, as he'll get underneath Glovas, and he's far more motivated here to make this into a 2-horse race, I think, by giving him the bump draft on the approach to the chase than he is to be trying to make the overtake and use the slipstream to pass at this stage and end up slowing him down into Don't Need Time and Zen's clutches. Vassiar appearing to be a bit of a train leader here in P5. Behind him is the Komakopa on the hard tyres, just underlining what a great start Komakopa had, as Chaotica dives down the inside into Murray's corner and takes P7 away from Preston. Hard tyres for everybody, but TX has gone for the softs. Unfortunate for him, he was right in the middle of everything at the start of the race. And Junkai then in P10 as well, also on the medium tyres. There's this very close racing, hard fought between Izzy and Bongit. I think we perhaps owe the drivers another look at that one. Excuse me. Here we go, an overtake coming from Izzy. And then Bongit possibly failing to leave space, question mark. Can't be quite certain, but certainly looked like the move was well and truly underway. Saito waits in the pit lane for his moment of fame, but Vic holds on in P2. As Kuros Kai says, Glovas and Preston just need to do it, or do it, as I would say here in the UK. It doesn't quite have quite the same kick to the pun. Safety car will be serving a pit cut penalty. Pass to your teams along with my apologies, says Saito. So he's already crossed the pit line entry barrier, so he's going to have that 3-second hold down the Conrod straight. So asking for that to be passed along between teammates. That works very nicely, because not everybody can read race control messages on the screen. Of course, you don't get those if you're a VR driver. Preston very slow through the corner, and TX pouncing on the soft tyres. He will breathe a huge sigh of relief to be through and past Preston on the hard tyres in the AMG at this stage. Glovas, though, still leading and extending the lead actually out to 3/4 of a second, nearly 8/10 of a second there with Don't Need Time, and equal distance behind Vic. Zen, though, continues to hold on as Vic decides it's time to pit after just 3 laps on the hard tyre. You have to use the hard on the medium, but he doesn't like it as a race tyre, it would seem. So diving into the pit lane once he's got rid of just 3 racing laps is our champion-elect here and championship leader, of course. Zen is now in 3rd place. Don't Need Time is in 2nd, but Zen will have a hell of a run going up towards Hell Corner. because there was a big sideways wiggle from Don't Need Time on the exit, but it looks like that the straight line speed of Don't Need Time's Lexus is looking very good. The car's almost getting airborne over the crest on the climb up the mountain, and Zen, despite the amazing bop position of all of our French manufacturer vehicles this racing year, was not able to out-drag the Lexus up the hill. As we go back then to Komakopa, we've got Preston Junkai and TX Speedstars here, so it looks like TX has dropped back behind both of them, unfortunately for him. We'll just have a quick check if we can't catch that in the replay buffer, what happened. No, it had already gone down, so TX missing out, perhaps snatching a break on the way into the chase. So easily done, and he was heading towards the barrier there that time as well, was TX. So looking a little bit wayward right now in the Ford GT. I don't fancy his chances getting through this mountain section, especially right here into the dipper after Skyline and through the S's. Absolutely incredibly hard for a long wheelbase, low slung, stiffly sprung car like the Ford GT, and just rubbing the Falcon stickers off the barrier there, as Izzy in the new livery for his Michelin Speedstars team is currently in P8 with Bongit out in 9th. Chaotica dropping back by 5.7 seconds at this stage with the wrong name on the car livery. We've actually got Larry's name on the car there, and there is Vic, who's also had to pay a 3-second pit lane penalty as the barrier seems to mock him, suggesting that he was pitting. But it looks like both cars for the distinguished gentleman have gone in. Fassiar and Vic both gone in to trade out their hard tyres for mediums, very much just shedding the worst tyres here straight away. And now they'll try and bump draft and slipstream and help each other through to get the undercut on the rest of the drivers. But an unusual strategy from Team Distinguished, and we will see if it works out for them later on in the order. This, though, the battle over the podium, it's Globas ahead by 2 seconds now of Don't Need Time and Zen, which continues to be a phenomenally frustrating experience for Zen. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far of this Lexus livery for Don't Need Time, but he does get into the barrier slightly there. I don't know if he's watching his mirrors or it's just a tiny little miscalculation on the way through the corner. But as I was saying earlier, it is so difficult to get these completely right every single time. Really, really a difficult one to get right every single time you go through. Just want to double check. I've got a message, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing something important. Okay, I've just got a picture of Gus meeting Komakopa, so that's awesome. Okay, not the time, but there you go. In Globas ahead of Don't Need Time and Zen, P2 and P3. Here is Komakopa powering down the mountain, coming off the mountain and heading down Comrade Straight now. Komakopa, the man of the moment here. P4 from a 9th place start, and he's on those hard tyres here. We'll be keeping an eye on what's happening with those Lamborghinis at the bottom of the field. Junkai in the Renault in P5. His teammate Zen on the same tyre strategy on the mediums at this stage. The fuel is burning off pretty quickly. This looks like about 5 laps of fuel has taken half the tank. So that's quite significant if you factor in the need for the pit stop and the safety car that will be coming on lap 16, if I remember correctly. So deep into the second half of the race, there goes TX with a big slide on the way out of Hell Corner. It's funny that they would call the first corner of Bathurst Hell Corner when it's probably the mildest of all the corners on the racetrack. And we've got Izzy in 8th and Bongit in 9th. Preston just ahead here, but Bongit in the Porsche chasing down Ford GT and in towards Griffin's Bend. Chaotica in 10th, driving Larry's Porsche, it seems, today, with Fassiar in 11th position and Vic following him. So their deficit to the outright lead currently 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Fassi will be breaking the air barrier to help with Vic's progress here. I think for a few laps this will help Vic with his fuel usage. It won't necessarily help with his tyres, but currently 30 seconds and increasing the gap from the distinguished gentleman out to the front of the grid. Of course, Saito's got a long wait here. So Jim's saying Chaotica may be paying homage to Larry and his homeland on the livery. Absolutely. Although, as we know, Larry is a fake Australian, British by birth. Globus in P1 and Don't Need Time in second place. I'm just waiting to hear Larry's response to that one. But Zed in P3. And he's now dropped back. I don't know if his tyres are starting to fade. The sun's gone behind the clouds right now, or it's risen above the clouds, as it were, from the sunrise that we started the race. And when this track conditions change, they really change with a vengeance. Comacopa in off the hard tyres, and he's deciding that his pace is insufficient on the hard tyres. It's far too early to pit for fuel or for tyres, so he's headed in, and so has Preston. Chaotica will come around, and there you can see the sun rising above the cloud line currently. There is a little bit of moisture in the clouds by the look of things. Looks like everybody has decided that 6 laps and half a tank is the time to come in. As Vic and Fassi, this is important for their race later on. They've regained that kind of 0.8 of a second that they lost earlier on, as Vic has passed Fassi, and they will continue then their hunt for the podium positions as we complete this race to the safety car, at least at this point. Vic then with the fastest first sector. It's just one corner really, and then the climb up the hill. So the fastest first sector should all be about top speed in the end, really, that one. But he's on the medium tyres now. He did refuel to a certain degree, but possibly not the entire tank in the way that Comacopa has, filled with fuel in the Ferrari, all the way with a new set of medium tyres. Hoping, I would imagine, to be able to pit again end of lap 15, start of lap 16, or at least just before the safety car, and allow himself the chance then to pit for the end of the race prior. Here is Preston, having picked up a 4.5 second penalty. Now that is some doing over the course of one lap. That is a barrier hit or a track cut, plus I would imagine a 3 second off throttle penalty for crossing the pit lane entry line. Pit and barrier, says Kuroskai, in exact sequence with me coming to it, but that's a lot for him. Globus still leads this race, has not pitted, so very different strategies running through here as Globus in P1. Now, what's the situation with Globus? I think most drivers will try to use the mediums in that final section of the race after the safety car. That's my guess right now. And then it's a question of balancing the hards and or softs with a second set of mediums as an option. I wonder if Globus feels that, while he's got this clean air in front of him and he can focus on his own pace, that he's better off just continuing rather than getting stuck in traffic. Stay out on the hards, go for a splash and dash for some softs before he runs out of fuel, which will be around lap 10 by my calculations at least, and then run the soft tyres before the safety car. It's going to be very interesting, but I fully expect most drivers to have sorted out their strategy, whether it's the mediums or the hards for the final sector of the race post safety car. I fully expect that they will be doing that. Remember, mediums and hards are the required tyre type, but the softs are available to them to use today. You can see the mist on the Blue Mountains as Zen is getting a fastest sector up to just 1,000th of a second faster than the best so far. And he's really starting to put the hunt and the chase on. I would imagine Zen is starting to really feel understeery going through these corners by the look of the tyre wear, but he's very good at anticipating that, and actually it looks like Don't Need Time with the biggest struggle at this stage with the handling coming out of Forest Elbow. That could be down to the dynamics of the Lexus rather than the problem in the seat, as getting the overspeed here and possibly a chance at an overtake for Zen. A fake move, and sometimes that can scare your opponent off the apex. You can see Don't Need Time still with a lot of hesitation on the throttle as he runs through, but so far he's equal to what Zen has been able to throw at him. Zen with a much later approach to the corner, but a slower exit it seemed. Junkai up to 4th place, and he'll be hoping to try and catch a tow and a lift from his teammate if they do start to fight. Bonget comes in, P5 in the Porsche cross-border competition, and then Chaotica, his teammate, going by. He says he's got a guard dog on his rear window today. We'll have a look at those as usual during the safety car period, but that's where things stand at the moment. The gap then for Vic and Facia to the lead, 28 and 30 seconds respectively, but that's still quite a large gap. Glovas out in front, with Facia there in 7th place. Bonget waiting for a slow fuel refill. It's on 6 times, so it does feel mightily slow. There is Preston going by, promoting himself to P10. Izzy gets 11th behind him as well, and we continue then to keep running. 42 minutes to go. Glovas though still leading, and some great laps. Look, 2:06 over the length of this racetrack. 2:06s are metronomic since lap 3, when he's really got those hard tyres into the groove, and that tells you everything you need to know about the warm-up phase of the hard tyres. He's been unchallenged at the front of this race since turn 1, but he's gone from a 2:12 down to a 2:06. 2:12 was a standing start, but the 2:06 he's been locked in, and he'll be hoping that the safety car doesn't undo a lot of his hard work. He's on his lap 9. He's certainly got fuel for another lap, or maybe even 2 laps. He's held on to quite a bit of fuel on the car here. And then possibly a quick run on the soft tyres before the safety car, because I don't see a medium set of tyres going from lap 11 through to the end of this race. 19 minutes have elapsed only so far, and he's down to below a quarter of his fuel allowance. And there you've got Zen now continuing to follow Don't Need Time, and continue the chase then behind for the 2nd position on the podium. Remember, Vic is able to take the title today, especially with his closest rival, Captain Eli, Captain Badonkadonk, who's missing, unfortunately, due to ill health. I understand, at least that's what I garnered from the channel today in Discord. Junkai is 9 seconds away from Zen, 13.4 away from the lead of the race. Zen has to be really feeling quite frustrated here as he follows Don't Need Time. He's not so close that he can't see his reference points on the track. It is a very busy racetrack here. Of course, the temperature's starting to really rise now in the western part of New South Wales, and at this height above sea level as well. The sun pounding down on the asphalt, and the drivers will be starting to feel accelerated tyre wear. You can see that Zen and his fuel tank is showing, I would imagine, less than a lap of fuel on that car. Don't Need Time has quite a bit more, which is a big surprise to me, because the Lexus tends to use the fuel, one of the thirstiest cars, but possibly that would explain why he's been holding Zen up a little bit. He's maybe turned the engine down slightly, or he's been short shifting to try and preserve fuel, but he's certainly preserved a lot more than Zen at this stage. Let's see if Glovas goes by the pit lane. He does indeed, but Zen forced to pit because he's run out of fuel. Hasn't been able to save much running behind Don't Need Time this whole time, and it's a very slow, careful entry into the pit lane, and you don't want to cross over those lines with 2 wheels, because the game will give you a 3-second penalty. Junkai comes in as well, and here comes Chaotica into the pit lane at the end of lap 10. Looks like a very neat and tidy run from everybody. Vic then going by, and we will see where he works his way through. He'll be in third place at least, I'm sure, third place there, and he's now 27 seconds for Team Distinguished behind the outright lead of the race, Globus. But don't forget, he has used his hard tyres for just 3 laps at the start of this race, and he'll be running here towards that 16th lap for the safety car, and then trying to continue his run. Over 2-minute laps here. You can see he's around and about a second a lap faster than Globus at this stage. He's been running in the mid 206s and the last lap of 207, as I would imagine that front right is complaining. The red light is on his fuel gauge, so Globus will be thinking that usually means fewer than 2 laps of fuel remaining, but you don't want to be in a situation where you miscalculate over the length of this circuit, and he has dropped some time here to Don't Need Time, who's now 2.6 seconds away. I think Don't Need Time is not worrying himself about running a 12th lap on this fuel load. He'll be running through, and I would imagine pitting. He has still got the tiniest bit more than Globus as they head down into the chase. Iconic corner here. We haven't seen any big overtakes going into the chase yet, but hold on to your seats, because I do anticipate that is on its way. That's a very late call to come into the pit lane from Don't Need Time. Drivers have been further to the left than that throughout the course of the race. I hope that doesn't mean a pit lane entry penalty for him, still being to the right of the line with his right-hand tyres. I hope he's done enough to get in there. And the golden boy of Deviant GTDPRO this season, Vic, continues his run now. Some would say, some might be too superstitious to paint their car gold before they had secured the title, but Vic is not feeling that way. He does take the lead of the race. He's on the medium tyres, and he'll be hoping then to get to a position where he can fuel up for the end at his next pit stop prior to the safety car. And it is lap 12 now. Lap 16 is the safety car. We've had 24 minutes of racing as we get ourselves ready then for the real challenge. What we can see though is that Don't Need Time in the pit lane has saved a lot of time relative to Globus. Now that was a pit lane entry because they were both on absolute fumes of fuel at the end of the race, at the end of their stints. So there's no difference in the amount of fuel put in, but Don't Need Time's in lap and his pit out section gained him 1.5 seconds over Globus there, and Globus, with the lead of the race at the time, was feeling, I would imagine, somewhat defensive of that position, and he has lost time here to P4 at the moment. Net P2 if you don't count Vic and Facia out there in front, which I would imagine would be a misstep. Medium tyres on right now. We're not short fueling. I was expecting someone might short fuel before the safety car and just run the soft tyres for this stint. But maybe the medium tyres won't go all the way to the end of the race from lap 16. Maybe we can't even get a fuel load because it was closing out at about 10 laps here. But they've taken the opportunity to get the time in the pit lane to get their refueling done. They filled the tanks and Don't Need Time with a long run now down towards the chase, and he's side by side. Here we go. Can we possibly get ourselves an overtake going on into the chase? Not quite from Don't Need Time, but the pressure is on Globus, and this is going to cost him now in his battle to get back on terms with Vic and Facia, who have locked out the front two positions here. Don't forget that Facia was P5 and falling back on the hard tyres from the leaders, and with working with Vic, pitting on the same lap, getting that clean air and running behind Vic has helped Facia most of anybody, I would say here. Komakopa right with Zen. Zen didn't quite fully refuel, and Komakopa's gone for that short stint of fuel to just buy him enough laps on the fuel tank to get through to the safety car period when all the positions will be reset, obviously. So Here he goes, Komakopa. Zen forcing him around the outside into Griffins. It's very dirty, it's low grip out there, but if you can ride the outside, you'll have a good line on the way into the left-hander. Komakopa looking good. He's got a tighter line, and Zen closes the door emphatically. Just both drivers really driving the wheels off their cars and respecting each other like we come to know from these guys. We've had precious little in the way of contact at all so far this race, apart from maybe turn one. There was a little bit of elbows out, but so far it's been incredibly impressive. Don't Need Time and Glovas summit the mountain and then head back downhill through the Dipper and the S's, and as we go through then it is third and fourth for these two. The gap out front, 8 seconds out to Fassiar, who is himself 6 seconds further back from Vic, who continues to lead our race expertly out there. This is Glovas in P3, and we've got a livery situation I'll talk about a little bit more later on. But Glovas P3, Don't Need Time P4, the battle. But also Zen and Komakopa, as they head through the right-hander on the way into the chase, that they always look so close together, but it's not happening up at that point, and we're just going to have to switch between these two battles to try and catch the moment that one of them goes for an overtake. It's not going to be this time round. It's lap 13 of what I anticipate to be 27 laps at this pace, maybe 26 given the safety car period. But powering out of Hell Corner goes Don't Need Time, and he'll have a good run now. And the misty, bleary sun still hasn't burnt through the cloud line here at Bathurst, but it is starting to strike some shadows on the racetrack. Don't Need Time with a run down the inside, similar profile from these two pairs of drivers, but it wasn't quite enough there for Komakopa to launch and move. It really is for seasoned and sensible drivers. It's follow my leader through the mountain section, unless the car in front has a pretty catastrophic error. It actually hurts you to get too close, and Don't Need Time was feeling it there. A little wiggle coming out of the corner and almost shaving the barrier. It would have been a heart in mouth moment as we head towards Skyline now, the summit of the mountain, and we hop down. You've got to get the car to grip in on just after that summit, so it really doesn't help to be full throttle all the way over the top, because you've got to get the car balanced. Stab the brake too much heading downhill, and the car will turn around on you like a dime. It's Zen in P5 with Komakopa behind him in P6 as the drivers take turns to run down the chase, following one another, but too far away here, I think, for Don't Need Time to make a move at this stage. We've got Komakopa P6, Bongit out in 7th. That's some 26 seconds away from the outright lead. He went for that sprint option on the strategy. Vic's pitted off his medium tyres as well. Very little fuel, so they deliberately timed that so that they could get themselves in and turn around. So I would anticipate they will do a full-on lap of a full-on tank of fuel here. But if the cars will only do 10 laps on a tank of fuel, and they have to go from lap 17 onwards, I'm just wondering whether they can actually make the end of the race on a single tank of fuel here from the safety car, particularly if they're pitting right at this moment in time. Preston in 9th place, make that 6th now with Vic. Fassiar both pitting, as well as Bongit further back. Just their pit boxes out of shape there. Here comes Vic on his way out. So P7 back to 22.2 seconds away from the outright lead of the race, which is held by Glovas, Don't Need Time and Komakopa right now. Chaotica in P9. Bongit in the pits. Izzy TX on this last chance here before the pit lane closes, and the safety car will be on his way out very, very soon. Glovas versus Don't Need Time as we get ready for our safety car period. We're into the second half of the race now, and of course the number of laps will have elapsed. It's 15 total we're on right now, but with the extended slow lap under the safety car, I think we may be on for 27, 28 total. And there's a question then of whether pitting now for fuel has been a little bit too early to get to the end of the race. I'm really interested though the strategy calls here. I would imagine our safety car driver is getting ready, because the drivers are heading down the chase at a rapid rate of knots here, and it takes a while to get on out of the pit lane. Globas in P1, don't need time, but there's little point racing to this point then beyond here at the final corner, of course, because the safety car will be moving and exiting the pit lane, as the drivers then will start to slow, because there's no point racing too hard at this stage. Out front then, Globas will be hoping to catch our safety car driver. Here he is, our Saito. Actually, it doesn't say he's got a penalty at this point, so he might have been just warning us there unnecessarily. Just an abundance of caution possibly from Saito. I don't think the situation is that he's triggered himself a problem for for the safety car. So here we have today's livery of choice, and this is a collaboration between two teams of Team Drive Through Racing on the front and Team Mountain Dew on the rear, because of the collaboration between Applebee's and Mountain Dew in their catering provision. Darkberry Bash and Applebee's Grill and Bar there on the car. We've got a French flag and a flag I don't recognise. Is that one of the US state flags that I don't know? But clearly there is a French flag on there, and I'm not sure the French are going to support the idea that Applebee's is in any way related to to French cuisine. But there we have it. So this is the Mercedes-AMG version of the two liveries. I'm sure we will see the other one momentarily, the Ferrari behind. So I need to know what you make of these liveries. This, I have to say, is one of the most stylish looks, and that is not easily done, to get the Lexus lined up as neatly as that one. I do really like the Copperberg Lexus Gazoo Racing livery here for Don't Need Time. So for me, that is the pick so far. I really like this black and gold, shades of the old JPS classic livery. My apologies for the camera work. It's actually really tricky. So then we've got the run here. Keep your eye out for that kangaroo, by the way, as well. This is the Ferrari version of the livery we've already reviewed. I don't know if we're just doing one lap. This is a very plain livery, but not his fault here, Zen, I would imagine. But no change to the Renault colour scheme here this season. Again, we've reviewed the AMG. Then we've got the golden distinguished gentleman, the gentleman drivers here. Not obviously sponsored by a particular luxury brand today. I don't see. It's just got Forza Italia, and he's got Vic's Pizza, of course, on the car there. Zimmerman on the bottom, but I don't see any particular luxury brand today. And then we've got a kind of rose red livery version of the same livery. There's some spare change there as the drivers head on into the pit lane, but very coordinated, metallic, rich colour scheme then from the distinguished gentleman. And the safety car stays out. Lots of drivers pitting now on this second lap, just trading to try and get themselves to the end of the race. Now I make it lap 17. I think that's achievable. Maybe with a little bit, if we do go into a 28th lap, then maybe we've got a problem. And we're celebrating then the national postal services of our respective nations here. Canada Post, or Post Canada here. Quite why they have a kangaroo on their livery is beyond me. Maybe that's special for this race here. But the Porsche of Team Cross Border Competition, and a big thank you for the Webbo stickers there on the front as well. But Canada Post, and then we have the Ripple livery for the Michelin Speedstars Ford GT. Safety car is too fast, says Cam. Safety car too fast. So Jim's saying we won't have my US counterpart today, so I'll have to try and guess what that livery would have been. Okay, I like a challenge. Thank you. As we look at the slightly confusing Michelin Speedstars livery option here, seems to be celebrating ? Oscar Piastri there on the rear wing as well. But this colour scheme, I guess for Australia, but I'm not sure whether these are Aboriginal colours or what, so I don't want to say anything too mean about it. But it certainly had a date with a box of pastels, and that is the situation anyway. So that's Oscar Piastri looking a little nonplussed there on the rear wing for the Michelin Speedstars, but good to have something different, and a distinguished looking Michelin man on the back window as well for the 182 here. Kirk Morris also complaining about the safety car. Safety car so fast. So it's what, 65 to 70 miles an hour usually, the safety car, right? As we just check on these. Aha, here it is, the one that we haven't commented on. This is the US Postal Service with Sensit liveries, and that's very clumsy from everybody getting into it there, into the the dipper. This is in honour of Larry, I think. So I'm guessing, Jim, that Larry's not around today. He was watching earlier on. And I hope that Gus is around, because I haven't seen whether Gus is going to give us his livery review here. But this appears to be the colour scheme of the US Postal Service, plus, as Chaotica mentioned, a guard dog, a very muscular guard dog on the back window here. Okay, Jim, thanks. Larry is racing with us, right? So that's good. But yes, G Calber, or Larry, written on the side of the car there. Back from his trip. Okay, good. It's not. It hasn't been the 24 Hours of Lemons yet, has it? Has that already happened, or is that later in the year? Back down to 50 miles an hour now, and off to go and mow some grass as we get ready for our green flag. As Saito goes off onto the grass instead of into the pit lane. We get ready for green flag racing then for the final 21 minutes, 9 or 10 laps to come. As we power out of Murray's corner, and it's Globus leading the way there on Don't Need Time. Medium tyres for both drivers, so they are committing to another swap out, I think, because it's going to be 10 laps of fuel, which will necessitate a full tank in my humble, very humble opinion. And maybe the Lamborghinis can make it to the end if they fuel save a little bit at this stage of the race, but Bongit out. TX Speedstars in 6th, we've got Izzy in 7th, who's been at the back of the grid most of this race long so far, and Zed in 8th. Junkai in 9th, coming through as well. He has a full tank of fuel, as does Zen, so watch out for those guys later on. I would imagine they'll make the end of the race comfortably from this point. Coma Copa in 11th, and Preston out in 12th place, and Saito has indeed exited from the race. So this collaboration, I don't know if it's going to hold together until the end of the race between Team Drive-Thru Racing and Team Mountain Dew. Globus, his lead is only 0.2 of a second, but Don't Need Time is doing his best to ruin this beautiful new livery here in his Lexus. Of course, a guest livery, I believe, because he's not affiliated to any specific team. But the Lexus, an odd choice if you have to have it, but I suppose if you need the top end speed that it gives you anywhere, you probably need it right here. Vic is in the hunt though. Despite not having quite, I would imagine, enough fuel to finish the race, he'll try and save some fuel, I would imagine, behind Don't Need Time and Globus. Almost look like golden fish scales on the roof of his Lamborghini Huracan as Bongit chases Fassiar down, and Fassiar, not for the first time, getting a little bit gapped by his teammate and then holding up drivers behind as well, playing the rear gunner and the protector potentially here for Vic and his championship hopes. Just try and minimize the amount of contact and battling that his teammate has to do. Through Murray's corner we go. Bongit will do well to hang on to that one because he's snaking around slightly, and TX Speedstars doesn't need a second invitation. Diving down the inside goes TX Speedstars. A beautiful sequence there from him, and we'll have another check on that one. Just watch for Bongit getting a little bit out of shape on the exit. Didn't quite make the apex, and of course TX just timing his run really nicely and getting hold of that inside line on the way down into Hell Corner. Then Speed Stars ahead of Bongit. Excuse me. I was trying to reach for the mute button and then thought better of it, thinking I'd probably mute myself and forget to unmute myself. So I apologise. You've had to live with my sneeze mid-stream. Comacopa and Preston in the similarly liveried but different teams and cars. Comacopa in the drive-through, and then we've got Preston in the Team Mountain Dew Mercedes AMG out in P11. Izzy has had a really difficult restart and has dropped to the back of the field. No damage on the car at this stage, but he has dropped 10 seconds from P11 right now. And this track is a horrible place to race when you start getting it wrong and you start collecting damage and problems. But these drivers now starting to think about either sprinting or sipping the fuel to the end of the race. I would imagine they know that they are committed to having to pit with just a few minutes left on the clock. Screaming on by and in towards the chase we go. Donny Time still second, hasn't had any clean air on that aggressive front of the Lexus there. But the number 26, Don't Need Time, doing his best. Vic just showing himself to Don't Need Time. I'm sure Don't Need Time is well aware that he's got Vic directly behind him, but he's certainly got his hands full with the idea of trying to pass Glovas. Vic then getting that last little bit of slipstream and putting himself in harm's way, managing to duck out of the move, but that was dangerous from Vic. It's a very difficult manoeuvre to pull off between Murray's and Hell Corner. It's a very short straight down there, and the track is pretty narrow, I have to say. So he did well to not get himself into any kind of difficulty there with contact, but didn't outbrake himself too much to push himself. Probably 27 laps, says Jim. That was my guess at the start of the race, so it would be between that and 28, I would have thought. And I think that Zen Junkai will have enough fuel to the end of this race, so they could still be in a very strong position, only 5 seconds away from the outright lead. It's Chaotica in 9th, followed closely by Comacopa, another driver who, with the Ferrari fuel economy and tyre economy, could well make the end of this race at this stage on the fuel. I'm sure that that's the intention right now. And Izzy still at the back with that peach-coloured nose on the car. I'm quite sure what the plan is there for the livery. Don't Need Time continues his relentless pursuit then of Glovas down Conrad Straight as we run at full lick down towards the chase. He seems to do a really good job of gaining down here, but it's just too little before he can get into the corner. Glovas has been fantastic so far, really smooth here in Bathurst. His season has not been one to write home about, but every dog has his day, and it looks like today could well be Glovas' day, but he does need the pit stop sequence to go well for him. I would imagine he's going to struggle here with a personal best then that time round for Don't Need Time. He's starting to dial up the intensity, and that front right won't make it to the end of the race either. So they'll be furiously trying to work out with their teammates in chat here, how many laps will the race be? If it's 27, obviously that helps them in their calculation to the end of the race, and when they come to refuel, Fassia in 4th could do a job here for Vic and hold up the rest of the field really, Fassia, and just grow the gap, but I imagine that's a very difficult task here for Fassia to effectively slow down in the mountain section and then get on the power again ferociously quickly. You'll see lots and lots of tents and spectators camping out here at Bathurst. People make a real weekend of it. for the Bathurst 1000 at least. And I heard tales of Aussies who were told they were having their beer allocation limited, going up in the months prior to the Bathurst 1000 and burying cases of beer so that they would have enough for the race. Bear in mind that the limit was 10 cases of beer per person. They still needed to bury more cases in the mountain before getting their entry point to the end of to the start of the Bathurst 1000. Here we go. We don't need time. Chasing down Globas. Can it be this time round? Maybe he's just biding his time here. We'll try and do something different. Will it be an undercut on this lap? Will it be box pit opposite to the car in front? Not this time round. As I'm nervously looking at that front right tyre and thinking it's going to slow these drivers down quite soon. The last thing you want is understeer going through the mountain section of this racetrack. You need to get into a position where presumably the soft tyres will make it to the end as we run through that hell corner. P5 TX, P6 Bongit, and then what I anticipate to be the first of the drivers who are able to really push to the end of this race. It's Zen on the fuel in P7, and he is now 5.7 seconds. It's dropped by about half a second, the gap to the outright leader Globas, showing that Zen is pushing and the drivers at the front of the field perhaps less so. Can Zen protect the medium tyres to the end of the race as well? Obviously, if some of our drivers had decided on the hard tyres during the safety car, I would have perhaps been absolutely certain that they were going to the end of the race. As things stand, there is always a question mark. It's Komakopa in P9. It's Preston out in 10th. As K. Morris says yes to the 27 laps, I believe. Kuros Kai still holding the chat leaderboard lead today. Chaotica crabbing his way into the barrier there in P11. Is he still with us and trying to continue? K. Morris saying Globas and Don't Need Time have to pit. There is no way to get to the end. Kuros Kai saying don't have to do anything right now. Not practicing, it would seem. Fuel save, which will be death, says Jim. So these two, for me, need to stop being conservative, get their pit stop done, and give themselves the chance to get to the end. But if they pit now, of course, they will need the medium tyres, I would imagine. I don't think the softs will hang on to the end of the race. Vic has half a tank of fuel still, and Don't Need Time has not gone into the pit lane. I think Vic is going to be tyre limited at the end of this race. I think he's got the fuel on the car, so has Vassiart. Potentially, they are saving fuel like crazy right now. And I think that the Lamborghinis have had a quiet few laps right now and are bringing themselves into a position to be able to fight at the end. You'll see that that Zen, who had the full tank of fuel after the pit stop, he is driving, I would say, at 9 to 10 tenths of his effort at this stage, and has only a little bit more fuel than the Lamborghinis. And the Renault is not a particularly thirsty car, so I think the Lambos have spotted what's happening here and have changed up the strategy, not really focusing on catching the front two. I would imagine then their teammates, the distinguished teammates, are watching the race, talking to them, getting them through the race, telling them to trust the process here. And let's see, because I can't see what drivers are doing with their fuel gauge and their fuel map, but it looks like Vic running in the 207s there. We know he can comfortably run in the 206s, with Globas also in the 206s. So Vic, I think, has made it into the 205s at some point during the course of this race when he was really pushing after that just 3 lap stint on the hard tyre. I'm wondering if the distinguished team are going to come home here despite their strategy rather than because of it. It's amazing what you can get away with in terms of strategic blunders when you've got amazing drivers at the wheel. I'm thinking of times where particularly the Mercedes F1 team relied on Lewis Hamilton's talent in the late 20-teens and would just put him in the most awkward of positions, but he'd always find a way to outrace the poor strategy call. I'm wondering if that's the situation here. I don't want to be unkind to the team engineer today for the distinguished team, as into the pits comes our two leaders. Vic and Fassia will take the lead of the race here and then be worried about that front right tyre all the way on to the final 8 minutes of this one. I have now hit the pause button on the ads, so we should be uninterrupted until the end of the race. So hopefully that should now count down, and we will not have any situations where we had difficulty before. Here is Fassia then, trying to take advantage here of Vic, managing to break that dirty air barrier in front of himself, and then Fassia will now just need to back off slightly through the mountain, or he will risk contact with the barrier. Now TX, there's no way TX makes the end of this race, so he'll be just essentially spoiling Zen's pace at this point. He needs to protect that tyre, the front right, and then Zen will have to try and do that difficult thing of go fast and treat the tyres gently, so carrying the speed and momentum through the corners, limiting his G-forces that he puts through them, particularly these long left-handers here on the climb up the mountain. Behind Zen is his teammate Junkai. They should be wearing the same livery, so I think that's just a problem with liveries coming through, but it does help us to pick out Zen very nicely. And Bongit in the very similar livery for the Canada Post cross-border competition today, as they head on out of Forest Elbow. And Vic leads from Fassia and Speedstars. Zen, though, 4.3 seconds away from Vic. And again, I think that underlines the fact that Vic and Fassia had a couple of slow laps there, saving fuel. Is that TX getting out of the way here? No, he was just moved to the right and then moved back across. Maybe he was feeling defensive on the way through. Defensive in a racing sense, not someone with some with an emotional reaction. As heading to the left of screen, and he is defending very hard, and Zen is going to be really frustrated because he has the best opportunity here to try and take it to the distinguished team and win this race, but TX has been protecting the tyres, trying to save the fuel and defending like mad on the way through here. But the power of the Ford GT and the good throttle application, this could be Junkai pushing Zen past TX Speedstars. This looks like a bump draft here to try and help him by, and I think it's going to work. They're going to go 2 by 2 into the corner potentially. Junkai will try and sweep around the outside. Zen will get it though. Oh, that's fantastic teamwork between the two for Team OG. That is absolutely brilliant, as essentially Junkai just sacrificed himself for Zen so that Zen could get by the Ford GT up the hill. I absolutely love to see teamwork like this. And you see then that, of course, that puts Junkai in a difficult position. Bongit took advantage, but you have to take your hat off there to the OG team for that phenomenal piece of play. But they continue to battle, and that's Bongit forcing his way by TX, who tries to close the door a little too late potentially, and there's no way you make it too wide through Skyline, and that is a problem then. That's the first of our big accidents in through Skyline and in towards the S's. Junkai then has gone from battling for a provisional podium, helping his teammate, to essentially being caught out into the barriers. That was a big problem for him and a big problem for the race. Meanwhile, Don't Need Time was running second. He's put the soft tyres on and a small amount of fuel on board. That's still not very much fuel, but he's probably got enough for a final 2 laps. It's 4 minutes 23 to go. Don't Need Time, and Globas had to put even more fuel on board, perhaps too much fuel for Globas. Has he miscalculated? Has he got it absolutely spot on? But he's put medium tyres on as well, and he's 22 seconds away from the lead of the race that has been his all race long. The big question though, can Vic make it to the end of the race on these tyres and with this amount of fuel left in the Lambo? I think they've been preserving the fuel to a large extent. They've now got a very similar amount to Zen on board the car. They'll be hoping to make this a 27-lap race and no more. By the look of things, they will achieve that goal. I think it will be 27, as Bongit, who has no shortage of pace, our Canadian driver here, he could well feature as well, but he's in a difficult place with the fuel and tyre wear. Although his fronts are protected a little bit more as the fuel comes off than the front engine cars, of course, whose weight is maintained on the front of the axle, whereas his weight on his front axle reduces as his stints continue, as the fuel tank, of course, front mounted on the Porsche. So his soft tyre wear, his medium tyre wear here, a little bit easier as we get towards the end of the race. He doesn't have to do quite so much work to protect the front axle. But Zen still has 5.6 seconds to Vic and Facio, who have suddenly dialed it up. Let's just check out the pace here. They were running 206, even 207s, and now suddenly Vic is down in the 205s. So he's saved enough fuel and he's turned the engine back up, in my estimation, my guess anyway. This is just just a commentator talking about racing who hasn't had to do these race conditions yet. So I don't know quite what they've gone for, but that's my best guess anyway. Bongit in fourth, but he is 7.7 seconds away, and what I believe to be heading towards the final lap of the race. However, we're getting close here. No, that will now be the final lap of the race as Vic comes down in towards Murray's corner. He will cross the line to receive the white flag, and it's time to go racing for just one more lap. He's got enough fuel. He's saved enough fuel. So has Facia, and now it is just a straight shootout. Zen has 5.6 seconds of deficit. That is a big, big ask to get himself the win today, but I think second place might still be available to him. Bongit will try and pick up any pieces that he can at the end of the race, but for me it's Glovas who's over-fueled, and I think those drivers have probably not been able to rescue their strategy in the same way that Vic and Facia were, because they were running at the front of the grid. Chaotica versus Preston. This is an OG style battle that we should be watching. Preston to the outside on the way into Griffin's Bend. Chaotica holding the low side, giving each other a little bit of room, then a love tap door to door on the way through. Chaotica will try and sweep around here into the left-hander of the cutting, and does a great job holding on here, Chaotica, on what will be, as I said, the final lap of the race. Donny Time's been running near the front all race long. He's got the soft tyres on. He'll try and get at least P6 here, as the drivers in front of him are fighting and not really thinking about the Lexus, as Glovas down in 10th has Junkai ahead of him, but he only put the medium tyres on that late pit stop. TX in 11th. Izzy still at the back of the grid as Vic exits Forest Elbow for the last time. He will breathe a huge sigh of relief that he doesn't have to go through the mountain anymore, and he's nearing in on what will be a virtual guarantee of the championship here at the end of this season 4.3, and a very dominant display that he and Captain Badonkadonk have given us throughout the course of the race. What's happening with Chaotica and Preston? Well, they are nose to tail. I don't want to miss the moment of the win, but look at this side-by-side action as Preston tries to force the issue on the way through. They'll go side-by-side into the corner. Preston taking the lead there, but it's Vic who takes his golden carriage to the victory. It's Vic once again this season, and it's Vic who will, I'm sure, become champion when all is said and done. Facia with a great result for the team, and Zen with a third place to be proud of. Bongit in fourth, Komakopa fifth, and Preston finishing in seventh, just a tiny amount ahead of Chaotica. We'll see what Chaotica thought at the end of that race once they do a debrief, but don't need time home in eighth. Junkai in ninth, with Glovas led for so long, coming home in 10th place. That has got to be a bitter pill to swallow for Glovas. TX in 11th, Izzy in 12th. But today, this season as well, is all about our Italian in the gold and in the racing colours of Team Distinguished, driving the Lamborghini Huracan. It's Vic and his pizza restaurant, taking us to the end of this great season. I hope he does. If he does secure the victory in the end, I hope that he does a last to first challenge at the end. Cam saying the Glovas strategy, yeah, My apologies to everybody for that one. That is my commiserations, I should say. It's Vic then outright with a 1 minute and 10-second run to the flag, and a best lap overall for Don't Need Timer 203.892. Vic wins from Facia, Zen and Bongit, Komakopa, Preston, Chaotica and Don't Need Time, with Junkai, Globas, TX and Izzy are 12 finishers. Thanks to Saito for his drive at the end there on the safety car. Thanks to everybody, of course, for watching. Do make sure that you hit refresh 30 seconds after the end of this stream, because we will get the next stream up for the GTDs. And if you feel like it, you can press the tip button to send your financial thanks if you are so inclined. I appreciate everybody for your support on the channel and for allowing me to be with you for these great races. So stay tuned if you're watching live. If not, hit the like button and we will catch you on the next race day.